You have a morning routine, a gym routine, and a makeup routine, but you don't have a budget routine? You need to take your finances as seriously as you do other parts of your life. You should have at least a money routine. You ought to have a routine and a habit for when you receive your paycheck. This pertains to how to manage your finances so that you don't waste any and that they grow in value and you will have more money tomorrow. You should employ the routines that I'll be providing in this video. This includes the following routine. Number 1, having a baseline, and number 2, having leftover money. Under each routine that we will be discussing, there are strategies and tips that you are advised to follow. In this way, you can transform your finances. Let's dive into the video. Having a baseline is the very first routine you should follow when it comes to your finances. When you don't have a baseline, your finances will eventually flatline. Kidding aside, your baseline is essentially the sum of money required to live comfortably and achieve your goals, whatever they may be at the moment. Basically, the things that bring you happiness should be included in your baseline. Whether you want to have Starbucks coffee every day or only go out once a week to buy some food, have those items inside so you won't feel tempted or forced to resist or periodically withdraw some funds from your savings. Before long, you find yourself doing nothing at all. Making things comfortable is the main objective here. There are 4 main costs associated with this baseline. Shelter is essentially the first one. That refers to your rental or mortgage payments. Generally speaking, a very typical rule is to not spend more on housing than 33% of your monthly salary. The place of residence should be affordable. Second, you also have utilities. Utilities include more than simply your monthly phone, internet, and utility bills. They also include items that you essentially use every day. That includes, for instance, your medical expenses and gym fees. If you have utility bills, such as an excessive phone bill or an expensive internet bill, make those calls and work out a reduced price for your plan. The third are your groceries. Here, people try to cut costs. Don't do this because you don't want to starve yourself and subsequently pay for it with your healthcare since you did it. Finally, there is transportation. It generally refers to your car, everything that fits in it, or whether you use other modes of transportation, including public transportation. One tactic is to keep your base funds in a different account. As a result, when you receive your paycheck, you should take it and put it somewhere else so you won't be tempted to spend it on something else. With that base budget, you can live a decent but not luxurious life that you genuinely enjoy. Hi there! We hope you're having fun watching this video. Show your support by liking and sharing our content. Subscribing to our channel will keep you up to date with the latest financial knowledge. Subscribe to learn more about in-depth topics like this one. Don't miss out. Let's continue watching the video. Second routine. You should have leftover money. Here, if you don't have any leftover money, you'll be left with no money. Seriously speaking, with the excess money you have left over, you should set goals. You ought to have both short-term and long-term objectives. Short-term objectives are ones that you must essentially achieve in 5 years or fewer. Obviously, 5 years or more are considered long-term. Your initial goal is short-term. Set a goal to be debt-free in less than 5 years. Let's imagine you owe money, for instance, on credit cards, personal loans, and student loans. Say you owe $30,000 in total. Set a deadline of fewer than 5 years to pay it off. Pay the highest interest rate initially, for instance, if someone is charging you a high interest rate. You can save the most money this way. Your primary objective should be to pay off your debt, because after that, what will you have? Because you don't have to worry about paying other people anymore. You have additional money that you can put toward other things, and there is less friction. Use the remaining 30% if you spent 70% of your baseline to pay off that debt and accomplish your first goal. Saving money for emergencies should be the second goal. What's your baseline? Did you calculate it? Go calculate it right now. Pause this video, and once you get your baseline, multiply it by 3. So if your personal baseline is $1,000, multiply it by 3, and you get $3,000, right? Therefore, set aside $3,000 to cover emergencies for 3 months. And if something were to happen to you, like you losing your job or something else, you would still have 3 months' worth of expenses paid. Your baseline could appear to be very different. It may cost $3,000, $4,000, $2,000, or even $6,000. Everything basically depends on your financial commitment. Make sure your baseline is no more than 70% of your salary, according to the advice. If the percentage is 90%, that's on the verge of being absurd. The third goal is a 2-in-1. Here, it is the only long-term objective. Investing in an index fund is essentially investing for your retirement. An investment known as an index fund follows a market index, which is typically composed of equities or bonds. In this way, since you'll need money in the future, you can essentially have money when you're older. After that, start putting money aside to buy a house. You can apply the 33% rule to a 15-year mortgage when purchasing a home. This means that the house you buy will only consume up to a third of your monthly income in terms of costs like the actual mortgage, interest and capital payments, insurance, taxes, and all other associated costs. Essentially, without including utilities, no more than a third of your monthly income, you put it on a 15-year mortgage after that. This restricts you to a cheap house. This allows you to buy a smaller home and pay it off in 15 years. And once you factor this into your budget, since you now have a mortgage to pay instead of rent, it becomes part of your baseline. Therefore, there should be money left over for you. You should aim to pay off your mortgage more quickly with the remaining funds, if you have any, after investing 10 to 20% of your income into your retirement fund. You are thus juggling 2 tasks at once. You can accomplish 2 things at once in that situation. You are investing while accelerating the mortgage payment. You will often pay off your mortgage in 10 to 15 years if you do both of these things at the same time. You'll also have a sizable sum of money after 10 to 15 years if you've been contributing 10% or 20% to your retirement account. What will you have when those 10 or 15 years have passed? Your baseline is lower. You basically need to spend less money to survive now. And it's great because you can use all that extra money for whatever you want or for pleasure. How does this truly appear when you receive payment, whether it's weekly, bi-monthly, or monthly in the real world? For the sake of simplicity, let's assume that you earn $100 per month. Naturally, if your baseline is 70%, that will be $70. So you take your $70 as soon as you get paid. For instance, it is common to hear, "No, invest first, then spend." However, where would you acquire that money if you invested first and then needed money to live? You'll need to withdraw funds from your investments. Don't invest as a result until you have paid off all of your debt and built up an emergency reserve. So you set aside $70, and if you still have $30, you can work toward your first objective, which is to pay off debt. So seize all of this cash and use it to pay off debts. Pay off the loan with the highest interest rate first using the avalanche method. Once you've completed that objective, your baseline percentage remains at 70%. By the way, If you receive a raise at work, you don't raise your baseline. Instead, you maintain the same baseline and apply the additional funds to your goals. When you get paid again, $70 goes into your baseline, and your $30 goes toward achieving this objective. The second is that you save money for your emergency fund. And once you're done with that, your emergency fund has enough money for 6 or 3 months. You take that money and put 10% or 20% toward investments, which, for instance, would be $20 for investments and 10% toward mortgage savings. To turn your finances around, establish a baseline budget and aim to have leftover money each month. This routine helps you understand your finances, identify areas to save, and make progress toward financial goals. Stick to this habit to create a brighter financial future. We appreciate you taking the time to watch our video. If you liked it, be sure to show your support with a like and share it with your friends and family. To stay on top of financial matters, subscribing and hitting the notification bell is highly recommended. This way, you'll be among the first to know when new content is released.